Hi, this is Peggy from War. So today it's my great pleasure to be with my friend Eli Fathi, who is the CEO of Mindbridge. Thank you so much, Eli, for being here.
My pleasure.
So I'll give a quick description of Mindbridge, but you're more than welcome to jump in if you want to add to my description. So Mindbridge offers AI-powered auditing solution across multiple industries, which obviously is extremely valuable right now, especially in the context of Wirecard and everything we're hearing about that. Do you want to add something on Mindbridge before we jump to the questions?
Our product, our flagship product is AI Auditor. We are addressing both the CPA world as well as the CFO office.
Okay, thank you so much, Eli. So you're a serial entrepreneur. You've been in the financial services and technology world for many, many years. So we are very fortunate to hear your perspective. So first question for you. So what do you think will be some of the lasting impacts of COVID on the financial services industry?
One of the key elements that we are seeing happening right now, there are four crises that are taking place. Health crisis generated and created economic crisis that created social crisis. But the one related, the next one is really very significant, which is the trust factor. There is a trust factor that is missing in institutions, missing in governments, missing, and that's something that will impact the financial sector. And you've seen over the last few years, it's not something new, that Wirecard and other organizations are failing. So when we are looking at this situation and we are saying, what is the trust factor? So that's how the financial world is going to be impacted. The organization that can provide the proper trust and the services that will guarantee for individual, because at the end of the day, individual cares about themselves. And sometimes during pandemics or tough times, the fear of individual and the well-being of individual trumps the well-being of the collective. And the financial institutions that are going to be the most accommodating to the individuals and show the individual that their saving is safe, easy to invest, easy to utilize the web, all of the things that care and cater to the individuals are going to be the ones that are going to be the most advanced and are going to be the most enduring. So I think that the impact that we're going to see is related to the trust and how the institutions, the financial institutions are going to put this aside and make the individual more accepting of what's going to happen.
So staying on the topic of trust, because regulation is supposed to give trust in our institutions, do you see new regulations, new policies coming out of COVID-19 that will impact the financial services industry?
I think that the regulations have been proven that regulation by themselves are not sufficient. The regulations, whenever you have regulation, you end up with a cat and mouse situation where the people that are honest, and that's the problem. When you have traffic, when you have all of the traffic, when you red lights, not to go through red lights and speeding, it really is to keep the honest people from speeding and going through red lights. The same thing happened with the regulation. The regulations are going to be adhered to by the honest people, but it's the portion of the population, the 0.001% or whatever it is, that really are not honest and try to circumvent basically these kind of regulations. So yes, there'll be more regulation, but I believe that unless you add the technology, and this is the one important element that we are seeing at 2020. We now have technology, if it is blockchain, if it is AI, if it is RPA, where we can utilize technology to augment and really to ensure that the regulations are being adhered to. So to me, there may be more regulation because the public will demand them, but it's not good enough unless you tie it with technology.
That's a very good point. If I change gear a little bit and I'm looking at the financial order, the global situation, so a lot of debt, a lot of sovereign debt, a lot of individual debt as well. We see protectionism, supply chain reshoring. Where do you see the global financial order going post-COVID?
I think that we are seeing similar thing about the supply chain. If you look at countries, Canada is a good example. We in the US and Western world have basically offshored all of their manufacturing. And now when COVID and a panic took place with the pandemic, suddenly we realized that there are certain supplies that we need that we cannot get because we don't have any more the manufacturing capacity to do it. Definitely, we are going to see the world divided into, I believe, we're going to see the West and the East. Still, the US dollar is king, but we are definitely seeing that China and maybe if you look at Russia, what they're trying to do with creating another world order in terms of the financial sector. I think that we're going to see a lot more high-tech organization like Google, like Facebook, that are going to start to get into the financial sector if it is from digital currency. So once you have digital currency, you are now becoming global and you really have no choice but to become global. And the question is, what will governments will do in order to combat this kind of offering, and how would that impact? Are they going to create legislation to put borders against some of these elements that are internet and are borderless? So I think that we're going to see a lot of offering from many large organizations. Almost every day you hear about two ends. You hear on the bottom end when you have a new startup that is tackling a small portion, the low-hanging fruit, and then you have that in the financial sector, and then you're looking from the other end where non-financial institutions, but rather high-tech and other large organizations like Amazon that are going to go and create their own financial banks and penetrate this market. So it's going to, the financial sector is going to be impacted both from the top as well as from the bottom.
So you mentioned big tech and their foray into financial services. So from your perspective, what would be the change in terms of competitive positioning in financial services in the near short-term future?
It becomes back to the differentiation. Do you trust what Facebook will offer you? Do you trust what Apple? I mean, how fast we are seeing the changes that are taking place, and it will be at the end of the day, who do I trust to offer that? There is no differentiation. We are going to get to the level there is no differentiation, and you can offer whatever you get in one place. So if you recall, about a year ago, there was a case with, I think that one of the Bitcoin, where the person, the CEO passed away, and there were over 300 million of kind of losses. So this is the problem when you're going to trust. Who are you going to trust? And clearly, if you have if it's Amazon, or if it is clearly from a country perspective, most likely you're going to see separation of East and West, no question about it, and maybe create another one in Europe as well. But in terms of the outside world of the financial, if it is Amazon or Facebook or Google or any other organization, how are you going to get their trust? So if you are a member of the Amazon or you're a member of Costco and you have some trust because you're buying things from them and you trust them, you probably will stick with them and move all your financial services to them. So it's going to be very interesting. I will say that right now, being a financial institution is in a very tough spot because they're being attacked from all sides.
Yeah. Well, and that brings me to my next question. So, in terms of digital transformation, where do you see this large FI, these incumbents going forward?
So some smart CEOs from the top 100 were saying that digital transformation moved from 5 years to 5 months because of COVID. And these are the CEOs, the Fortune 100. And what we are seeing that you have no choice, digitize or die. And we are seeing it every day. As a matter of fact, I read today a report that the cloud dollars expenditure in 2020 will be 32% on the cloud for most of the big IT organizations, most of the Fortune 1000 companies. So you're going to spend this kind to increase your IT expenditure to be on the cloud. And financial sectors are not immune because right now financial institutions tend to be more, with the exception of some of the large ones, you tend to be bound by your country if we're talking about that, and you don't have, you may have another subsidiary and others, but it is within your country boundaries. And if you're going to get on the cloud or not, unless you can find a way to solve the boundaries of a country, you're not going to be able to really, in certain functions, obviously from investment you can, certain things you can, but not everything, right? Can you service individual banking needs? It doesn't look like you can cross countries, right? You cannot cross the boundaries of countries. So they are already on the web. As a matter of fact, we know that most financial institutions, if you look at RBC, they transformed 4 years ago, 5 years ago. They are technology companies. They are not really a financial institution. They are technology company that their market is in the financial sector. But all of them have done a lot of amazing things from a digital transformation.
Thank you. And the last question, which is the easy or the tough question, depending on how you look at it. So did you change some habits during your months at home? Did you pick up Eli version 2.0 with, I don't know, doing yoga every morning, meditation every night, anything new for you?
The one thing that I've done for the first 2 months, I was very lucky that my daughter was in with us because they had renovation of the house, and the 3 months old was with us for 2 months. So for me, the habit was every morning and during the day, in between phone calls, video calls, to go and cuddle with the baby and hold him. So that was the most amazing thing that I can say. Now that he's went back to his house, we still go every day and to spend time with him, and this is amazing. So to me, that's the key, the version Eli 2.0 that has changed for me.
It's the grandfather mode. That's
Yes.
wonderful. That would be such an amazing opportunity because you would have never been able to do that in normal time.
Exactly.
So it's such a blessing, actually. Well,
Very much.
Thank you so much, Eli, for taking the time to answer our questions and for sharing this very thoughtful and very cute anecdote. I knew that offline, but thank you for sharing it with our viewers. But it was wonderful to chat with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Peggy, for hosting me.
Thank you. Bye-bye, Eli.